Hi, everyone. I am Crystal Maldonado, and I am so excited to be part of the School Library Journal Day of Dialogue here with my friend Kate. I'm the author of Fat Chance Charlie Vega, a young adult novel about a 16-year-old girl who is many things. She is fat, she is Puerto Rican, and she has never been kissed. And that last one is really killing her. So the book is really about her journey to try and live in high school and survive as all of those things, and find herself a happy ending. So the book comes out February 2nd, 2021, and I'm very excited to be sharing this release date with my friend Kate, who, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Albus, and I am delighted to be here with Crystal and for this event. My book is middle grade historical fiction called A Place to Hang the Moon, and it comes out, as Crystal said, on February 2nd from Margaret Ferguson at Holiday House. And it's the story of three siblings who are orphaned at the beginning of World War II in England, and they cook up a plan to use the evacuation of London as an opportunity for them to find what they hope will be a forever home. So that's my story, and I'm so glad to be here. So, Crystal, what was it that inspired Fat Chance Charlie Vega?
That is a great question. So I was really inspired to write this book, honestly, for myself as a teen and for anyone who sort of checks those boxes of kind of feeling like they're an other. So this was the kind of book that I had hoped that I could have read when I was young. And I just have such a strong feeling that like representation and seeing yourself and seeing you reflected back at you is so important. And that was really the driving force behind creating this book. I wanted to make a fat Puerto Rican girl who gets to be happy, and I wanted people to see that. And that was really important. And then the story itself was actually loosely based on meeting my husband, who I met in high school.
That is fantastic.
Now, please tell me what inspired your book, A Place to Hang the Moon.
A lifelong fascination with the evacuation of London in World War II, which is something that's fascinated me since I read the Narnia books when I was a child, and was most fascinated not by the magic and creatures and whatnot, but by this extraordinary historical event. Not that the magic and creatures weren't fantastic, because I would totally lose my literary street cred by if I have any literary street cred, it will be gone after admitting that. But I've always been fascinated by that extraordinary historical event of 1 million children being put on trains to be cared for by strangers. That was the inspiration.
I love it.
So tell me more. What's your writing process like?
Oh, I wish I had a better, like, cooler answer. Like, I want to say, oh, I know exactly what I do for my writing process. I have this whole thing I do. No, I don't. It's a little chaotic. I sort of write when I can and when the inspiration strikes. And that used to work really well. And then I had a baby, and now it's a little tougher. And so I kind of write during her naps, or after she's in bed, or when I've got a really long lunch break from my full-time job. Like, I write when I can, and just do what I can to knock those words out and have them come out on the page.
Reality.
Reality, yeah. It's not always pretty, but it is what it is. What does your writing process look like, Kate?
Very different from what I ever would have thought before I started writing creatively. My background is in science writing, and I worked as a research psychologist for many years, where everything is about outlines and organization. And I kind of always assumed that folks who wrote novels that it was the same way, that you had the beginning and the middle and the end all plotted out in your head before you ever put pen to paper. And as it turns out, for me at least, what really works in reality is just sitting down and doing it and letting the characters tell me where they want to go. So
I
that's it.
feel that. I always think I'm going to have this time, I'm going to have a great outline. I'm going to know exactly where this book is going to go. Never works like that.
Nope.
So now your story is set during World War II, as you've mentioned. So I'm curious to know, how much research did you have to do to make this story historically accurate for that time period?
A lot, and I loved it. As a former science writer who really likes the research side of things, I loved that part of the journey. I Google is your friend, but also used bookstores are your friends. I have a ridiculous collection of obscure books related to World War II. I read a lot of memoirs of actual evacuees from who experienced in London, and also books feature very prominently in A Place to Hang the Moon. The children seek solace in their library, and so I spent a long time figuring out which books actually would have been available in England in 1940 for a middle grade reader, which is what my characters are.
Oh, I love that.
How about you?
One of the behind the scenes, you should do like, these are the books that you can read. Like, it should, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's actually in there, which is really fun. And that I credit, that was Margaret Ferguson's idea, was to actually put a list in the back of the books that Anna and Edmund and William actually read during the year when the story takes place. So yeah, full credit to Margaret for that idea. I love it. So tell me more about Fat Chance Charlie Vega too. I know that it is an Own Voices story and an Own Voices contemporary. And what was that like writing? To what extent was the story actually drawn on your personal experiences? I know you've touched on that a little bit, but tell me more.
Yeah. So a lot of it actually came from things that I experienced in my life. But then there was also a huge part of it that was all Charlie. It was all her story, you know? So I would say, you know, I grew up in a predominantly white town, and I was, you know, one of the few Puerto Rican kids, one of the few brown kids in general that lived in that town. And that affected a lot of my experiences. I was also fat growing up my whole life, and so that shaped my experiences too. And like I had said earlier, I really kind of felt lonely sometimes and wanted to read and experience media of some kind that reflected those experiences back at me. And so that was a big piece of the story and a big part of Charlie. So we are very similar in a lot of ways, but she has a mind of her own. She has a life of her own, and she, honestly, her style and her fashion is so much better than mine was. So, you know, I got to give it to her.
Credit where credit is due. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about what our experience has been like as first-time authors.
Oh man, the only word that I can use is magical. It's been a real dream. Working with Margaret, and just going through the whole thing, turning something that for many years was just my own into something that will go out into the world. I've said before that I know a lot of writers don't enjoy the editing process, the revision process, but for me, I saw it as a great opportunity to revisit these characters that I had really fallen in love with and that were really part of my life for the year or more that I spent actually writing their story. My I have joked with my husband and my kids many times that Anna and Edmund and William, my characters, are at Thanksgiving dinner with us, in my head at least. And so the process of sending this book out into the world has been a great opportunity to reconnect with these children who I love. So,
Oh, that's wonderful.
how about you? What's your journey been like with Fat Chance Charlie Vega?
I think you nailed it with the word magical. I really do. I would maybe add surreal. It's been just so rewarding to be able to have this lifelong dream of being an author and to actually have it come to fruition, and to have people, reach out to you and talk about how they loved your book, or how it affected them, or how they wish that they had had this when they were younger, or how they are a teen and this feels like their life. That has just been, I can't even put into words like how meaningful that is. I have read, I've gotten a couple of like Instagram DMs that leave me in tears because it's just so moving. And Holiday House has been incredible, and they've been so warm and welcoming. And I have this incredible agent, Tamar Rudzinski, who has let me ask her 100 million questions and never once gotten mad at me. So overall, it has been just so, so wonderful.
What do you, now that Charlie is headed out into the world, what do you want people to take away from your story?
So that is such a good question. I'm hoping that every reader sort of has their own takeaway, but what I'm hoping they get from Charlie and her story is that they should be kinder to themselves, and that that they feel like they're good enough right now. They don't have to change themselves, and that they don't need to be this weird idea of what is perfect before they start to love themselves and take care of themselves. So that's a really big piece of the book, and I hope that people take that away with them. Now, what about you? Tell me, what do you hope readers take away from your story?
Um, I think at its heart, it's a story about family and about what families uh, what families mean, the importance of family, whether it's the people that you're forced to be a family with because you're related to them, or the people that you choose to make your family. So I hope that readers will take that away, and also get some good old book recommendations along the way.
And that they can flip to the back and get that whole list. I am going to do that immediately.
There.
Oh, Kate, this has been so delightful and so much fun to chat with you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for this conversation, and thank you to Holiday House from both of us for making us part of this event.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. All right. Bye.
Bye.